these vexed issues, policing, justice, parading, was going to be easy. The reality is that politics in Northern Ireland surely is about compromise. The DUP and Sinn Féin are indicating that they are prepared to compromise, and that leaves you, again, very much on the outside, very much on the margins.
Well, I think when you watch your film, we are centre stage, because, you know, in truth, TUV was the ghost at Hillsborough. Hillsborough wouldn't be necessary without the TUV, because the DUP would have rolled over months ago to Sinn Féin. They did, of course, ultimately roll over last Friday, and all this talk about parading is the DUP's fig leaf for one of the most notorious pushover events in recent unionist history, when they gifted Sinn Féin what they demanded, a date for policing and justice into their terrorist inclusive executive, with the vetoes that Sinn Féin demanded, with the inbuilt embedded ticking future staging post events, like a review on the Irish Language Act, like a review on a North-South Civic Forum, North-South Parliamentary Body, North-South this, that, and the expansion of the bodies. All of those to be exploited by Sinn Féin. Next time, they need to put the gun to the DUP's head and extract more.
You see Peter Robinson saying that when he sits down across the table from people, you either believe or disbelieve that the person there has come determined to do a deal, prepared to compromise. He looked Martin McGuinness and Jerry Adams in the eye, and he was satisfied that they were prepared to do a deal. And he says he has a clever device which will bring the whole thing down if it is necessary to do that at some stage in the future. So in fact, he's copper fastened his position.
I wonder, when he looked in the eye of Martin McGuinness, did he see a reflection of all the coffins that Martin McGuinness's organisation?
Well, he may have done, but he may think that it's more important to move on, to try to grasp some kind of more positive future.
What he thinks is more important is about clinging to office, and the price of clinging to office was to roll over and deliver to Sinn Féin the extraction of policing and justice from London onto the island of Ireland, so that they can meddle, as they will meddle, in those seminal issues of policing.
What about the 14 DUP MLAs who we were told had difficulties with the deal at an earlier stage and who have now been persuaded? They didn't roll over, they got the guarantees that they were looking for.
The only thing that changed between Monday and Thursday was the day. The deal didn't change.
Well, let's hear what
the 14 strong men of Monday turned into 14 snowmen who melted. Well, let's take Lord Morrow. He told us policing and justice would never be devolved to this assembly, and there he is last Thursday voting for it.
Nelson McCausland, how do you persuade somebody like Jim Allister that you didn't roll over last Friday and that Sinn Féin didn't, frankly, pull off a bit of a political coup in getting you to sign up to the Hillsborough Castle deal?
I don't think you'll ever convince Jim Allister of anything.
So you just
because
not try?
You'll not convince him, because Jim Allister has simply swallowed Sinn Féin propaganda, spends his time selling Sinn Féin propaganda. In fact, he's the best salesman Sinn Féin ever had. Everything that they say... Sorry, if Jim Allister would again simply give people the opportunity to speak without interrupting. What I'm saying there is he's the best salesman Sinn Féin ever had. In fact, he's so good he should really be on the payroll in Connolly House. The point that you asked, the point...
Maybe not. But here's the reality. There are people who agree with him and who support him. And maybe some of them, are DUP supporters. They have serious reservations.
Let me deal with the point that was made there regarding members of the party. Jim Allister was outside the gates. So Jim Allister doesn't know what happened inside.
Well, he does know that Lord Morrow said... He does know that Lord Morrow said the devolution of policing and justice wouldn't happen within the Thanksgiving.
What Jim Allister said was, there was nothing that changed between Monday and Thursday. The fact is, I was there. I know that things changed between Monday and Thursday, because there were assurances, there were additions to the document.
So what changed? What specifically changed?
I don't think no one is going to...
Yeah, but it would help if you could, wouldn't it? That's the point. You never can.
No, sorry. The fact is, a document evolves during a process of negotiation. That's how negotiation...
One example that might satisfy Jim Allister of what is in this document, which is Friday's document, and that wasn't in the document in the draft form, that 14 of your MLAs wouldn't accept.
There were a number of points in the section on policing and justice which weren't there on Monday, but were there on Thursday.
Such as?
Well, do you want me to actually go through it line by line?
Just give me an example that might satisfy Jim Allister or other people who have reservations.
The point is, nothing will satisfy Jim Allister. All Jim is interested in... Sorry, Jim doesn't even know, so he just invents things. That's his problem. His only issue is to attack Sinn Féin. Sorry, Jim, I think the fact is Jim Allister is just unteachable as regards these issues.
Mark, I think what we see here is a difference in overall strategy, because making political progress with Sinn Féin secures the union, and this is what this is about. What Jim Allister offers, what his politics offer, is actually the biggest threat to the union since the provisional IRA and their violence, because it wants to take us back to somewhere where we don't want to go. Now, the way to do this, the way for unionism and unionism's way forward, is to recognise that the majority of Catholics in Northern Ireland actually vote for Sinn Féin, and that you have to recognise their mandate. Jim does not recognise Catholics in Northern Ireland or their mandate. He has no notion, he doesn't want a Catholic about the place, and that is not the way forward for unionism in Northern Ireland, and it is not the way to secure the union.
I must answer that.
We'll answer briefly.
Yes, I will. I have absolutely no difficulty with shared government. What I have difficulty with is terrorists in government. What I have difficulty with,
mandate.
No party can have a mandate to be as of right in government. My party, any other party, Sinn Féin's party.
But they can, because there is a political system in Northern Ireland. There is a political system in Northern Ireland which operates under that basis. Now, you either support it or you don't support it.
Well, I don't, because it's a rigged system.
But others are entitled to support it.
It's a rigged system which denies to the people of Northern Ireland two rights that everyone else has.
Okay.
The right to vote a party out of government, the right to have an opposition.
Okay.
And so long as that sustains, we will never have stability.
And Jim Allister can never tell us how he's going to get rid of it.
By the refusing to operate it and
How do you get rid of it?
Let's hear from Alan McFarlane. What's the Ulster Unionist perspective? How do you actually...
What is interesting about this is that our current agreement is based on the Belfast Agreement.
Yeah.
That is the only deal in town. What is interesting is that Jim Allister is now the DUP of 10 years ago. Nelson and the UP are the Ulster Unionists of 10 years. I'm watching Nelson as...
Does that make you the Alliance Party?
No, and his colleagues making interviews in the press and on television that are virtually word for word that I was making 10 years ago. So we now have two pro-agreement parties here. We have Jim as the DUP.
Where are you in all of this? You didn't even turn up last Friday to seal the deal.
We weren't involved in this at all.
Yeah, but you were invited to come on Friday.
We were not involved in this at all, and we were not going to add window dressing to something that we were deliberately, and the SDLP were deliberately kept out of. Now,
but here, here's a question. If you think that Nelson McCausland is right and Jim Allister is wrong, you need to help Nelson McCausland and Dawn Purvis sell the deal. But you weren't there last Friday helping them.
Well, they left us out of the deal, and we need to examine...
They're not leaving you out now.
Well, yes, they are. We got this 11 o'clock on Friday. We have had a meeting on Monday. We have more meetings planned. We have got to look at this. Now, at some stage or other, the DUP are implementing the end part of the Belfast Agreement here. And it's the way, and my guess is that eventually, although this is very imperfect as far as we can see it, it may turn out to be the end game, and we will get a settlement here and some stability.
Are you going to sell the deal, actively sell the deal, whatever it turns out to be, whatever the details are in parading, as Dawn Purvis says that you need to? Or are you simply going to let people make up their own minds?
No, actually, I've been out since Friday morning. In fact, I left Hillsborough and went straight to a meeting on the Shankill Road to talk to community workers there about what was agreed. I've been out since then at a range of meetings in County Armagh and in Belfast. We've been doing that. The point I would emphasise is this. We are setting a way forward.
Okay.
Jim Allister has no way forward, no strategy, and he's leading people into direct rule, which he eventually said was Dublin rule.
Okay, folks, we need to leave it there.
No, Dublin rule is what Dublin rule it was. Dublin rule it was, Jim.
You're not going to agree,
Jim
folks.
always has to get the last word.
I'll tell you, I'll have the last word.
Thank you
Nelson
indeed,
McCausland
Mark,
and Jim
for making
Allister.
that
If you
point.
don't mind, we'll leave it there. Thanks both very much indeed. So